3 years ago, I had literally my hands shaking when I asked my sister-in-law if she'd pay $40 for her daughter's birthday cake. I felt so guilty asking, like, who am I to charge for this? Now, I'm actually living off my passion for cake baking from my home kitchen. Not only that, but I've helped many other cakepreneurs do the same thing and somehow got featured in magazines for this whole counterintuitive approach I figured out. So if you've been thinking about turning your baking passion into real cake money but have zero clue where to start, and the whole business side makes your mixer want to stop, this one's for you. In this video, I'm going to break down the recipe for exactly how I went from hobby baker to someone who actually lives off what she loves doing and charging what she's worth. No sugarcoating. So, let's cut to the cake here. If you're watching this, you probably already make cakes and people lose their minds over them. Your friends may say things like, "Oh my God, you should totally sell these." And there's this little voice in your head that's like, maybe I should. Maybe I actually should. Then those imposter thoughts start spiraling, right? Like, am I actually good enough to charge real people real money? What about taxes and regulations? Do I need a license or something? What if I completely mess up someone's wedding cake and they, sue me or something? Or worse, what if I try this whole thing and spectacularly fail and everyone's like, yeah, she should have just stuck to her day job? I know, because I had every single one of those thoughts playing on repeat back in the day. I spent months on researching mode, which, let's be honest, is really just me procrastinating. Scrolling through Pinterest rabbit holes because I was terrified. I write blog posts that totally contradicted one another. Watch YouTube videos that made it sound either impossible or like you'd be making 6 figures in 30 days. And basically talked myself out of it about 50 times. Here's the thing though. Starting your cake business from home, it's not actually as complicated as your brain is making it out to be. But it's also not as simple as just start selling cakes. There are some real ingredients you need to know about first. So let me layer this out exactly how I wish someone had explained it to me when I got started. So, where do you actually start? And listen, please, for the love of all that is buttercream, do not start by writing some business plan. That's what every generic business article will tell you to do. And it's exactly why I almost never started this whole thing. Instead, here's the real recipe for getting started. Step 1, check if you can actually legally sell from your home kitchen. I know. Boring legal questions that make you want to close your laptop. But before you do, know that this literally takes 10 to 15 minutes and will save you from major headaches down the road. Just Google cottage food laws plus your state or province. Most places actually let you sell certain things from home without needing some crazy commercial kitchen setup. All you may need is to register online. Some may have a few more steps, but it's never anything crazy. You'll see that it's pretty common sense. Some states allow you to sell, for example, cakes, cupcakes, cookies, anything basically that doesn't need to stay refrigerated. You may also see that you can't sell cheesecake or anything with cream cheese frosting, which honestly broke my heart a little because I know that lemon bars with cream cheese frosting can be magical. If you're from the US, most states allow this. Canada, UK, or Australia, or anywhere else in the world, you guys have similar laws, but they call them different things. Just Google it and don't overthink it. You're not trying to become some legal expert here. You just need to know what you can actually sell. Moving on to step 2. Bake 1 cake for someone who isn't family. Not 5 cakes, not some whole business launch with ribbons and everything. Just 1 cake. If you have no experience, the goal here is to get that first validation, that first taste of sweet victory that makes you say, you can actually do this. Back in the day, this is literally the message I sent to my neighbor after she mentioned her daughter's birthday was coming up. Hey, I know Julie's party is next week. Would you like me to make her birthday cake? I'm just starting to take orders. It would be $45. That's it. No fancy pitch, no business cards. $45 felt like I was asking for the moon, you know? I had zero clue if that was right. Spoiler alert, it totally wasn't. I should have charged at least like $90, but we'll break that down in the pricing recipe in a sec. It took me about 4 hours to make, plus maybe $20 to $25 in ingredients, butter, eggs, flour, frosting, and decorations. They add up fast. So I made about $20 for 4 hours work. Not exactly winning the lottery, but not terrible for my first real order either. Luckily, she was over the moon. Posted it on Facebook, tagged me, and I got 2 more people asking me about cakes that same week. It was like when ganache finally comes together. Suddenly, everything just clicked. That was at the very beginning. I didn't have my full realization of what's possible at that time. By the way, if you want me to cover in a specific video what was my breakthrough that helped me do this full time, let me know in the comments below. Now, step number 3 is to actually figure out what to charge. And this is where most of us cakepreneurs completely mess it up. We either charge way too little because we're scared nobody will pay more, or we have zero system and just sort of guess and hope for the best. Here's a simple formula for you, and I wish someone had told me this from day one. So, your price should be your ingredients plus your time at a fair hourly rate. I use $18 an hour now, but even that is on the lower end for skilled baking, to be honest. Plus a little extra for overhead, like electricity, packaging, wear and tear on your mixer, and all that behind the scenes stuff that nobody really thinks about. Even just the sanity cost of washing 15 bowls. That $45 cake I made really should have been $100 plus, especially considering time, quality of ingredients, and decorations. But you know what? That $45 taught me I could actually do this thing. Sometimes you need to just prove to yourself that someone will actually pay for what you love doing. Okay, so you've made one cake for someone and you didn't completely fall apart. Now what? How do you actually get customers who aren't just your neighbors or your local book club? This is where I see so many cakepreneurs get totally stuck. They make a Facebook page, post some pretty pictures, and then crickets. Like tumbleweed crickets. Or they price so ridiculously low trying to build their portfolio that they end up working for basically pennies and burning out before they even get started. And here's what actually worked for me. And this might sound super simple, but I joined local Facebook groups. Not baking groups though, local community groups. You know what I mean? Like moms of your town or your city buy and sell. Those groups where people are constantly asking about birthday party planning, this post got me 3 orders in 2 weeks. And look, it's not just some fancy marketing strategy. I literally just said, hey, I make custom cakes from my home kitchen. Here are some examples. If you're planning a party, I'd love to help make it special. That's it. Notice I didn't say cheap cakes or budget friendly. I said custom and special. Because here's the thing, you're not just selling a cake. You're selling a custom creation that makes someone's celebration unforgettable. That's the secret ingredient most people miss. The real recipe here is being helpful, not salesy. I answered questions about different flavors, jumped in on the comments when people were asking about party planning tips. I just became the cake person in those groups by being genuinely helpful and caring about their celebrations. Here's the first inquiry I got from a complete stranger. Basically, she saw my post, messaged me, and we worked out all the details. $120 for a 2-tier birthday cake. I was so nervous. I literally screenshot this conversation and sent it to my husband. Like, is this actually happening? Is this real? That cake took me about 6 hours and maybe 25 to 28 ingredients. So $95 profit for 6 hours, about $16 an hour. Not exactly life-changing money, but it was sustainable at that time. Today, I use a different method, much simpler, but maybe not the way I'd recommend to someone who's never tried to sell a cake before. And it's all about selling experiences instead of just selling cakes. Comment experience below, and if I see that there's enough people who want to know, I'm definitely going to create a specific video on that. Now, real talk time. There are some things that are going to happen, and I mean, are definitely going to happen without the right guidance, that nobody really prepares you for. First thing, you're going to have a customer who just doesn't show up. I had one who ordered a graduation cake and confirmed pickup for Saturday at 2 p.m. I made the whole cake, spent hours decorating it, and had it sitting there perfect and ready. And he just vanished. Didn't answer texts, didn't call back, nothing. I was so hurt and frustrated, I literally almost cried right there in my kitchen. Not just because of the money, though losing $80 definitely sucked, but because I felt like such an idiot for trusting someone I barely knew. Now, I take a 50% deposit upfront, non-negotiable, no exceptions. It weeds out the flaky people and protects you when things like this happen. Second thing, you're gonna have a customer who tries to completely change everything last minute or suddenly has sticker shock about the price they already agreed to. There was a time when a customer ordered a simple chocolate cake with buttercream roses, nothing fancy. The day before pickup, she texts me asking if I can add fondant decorations, change it to vanilla, and make it bigger. For the same price, obviously. Because why would extra work cost extra money, right? Old me, I would have said yes and stayed up till 2 a.m. stressed out of my mind trying to make it work. The new me said, I can totally do those changes. The additional cost would be $40 and I'd need to push the pickup to Sunday. And just like that, she suddenly decided that the original cake was absolutely perfect. Here's what I learned the hard way. People will treat your cake business exactly how you let them. If you act like your time and skills don't matter, they'll believe you. And they'll treat you accordingly. And honestly, about 2 months in, I almost threw in the towel completely. I was working every single weekend, stressed about orders, and when I actually sat down and calculated what I was making per hour, it was depressing. I remember telling my husband, maybe I should just stick to baking for fun. Maybe I'm not cut out for this whole business thing. But then something clicked, like when buttercream finally comes together. I realized that the problem wasn't that I couldn't do this. The problem was I wasn't running it like a real business. I was running it like some expensive hobby that happened to make me a little cake money sometimes. And then I had this mindset shift that changed everything. I'm not just someone who bakes cakes in her kitchen. No. I'm a cake artist running a business. I create custom edible art that happens to be delicious. And that's worth paying for properly. Once I started thinking that way, and way more importantly, communicating that way to my customers, everything shifted. Better customers, better prices, way less of that Sunday scaries feeling. It's like I finally had the right recipe for actually running this thing. All right, you stuck with me this far. You're actually serious about making this cake business happen. So let me give you a realistic 30-day recipe. Not some build a 6-figure empire in a month nonsense. Just get started the right way. On week 1, I want you to do your legal and pricing homework. I know it can be boring and stressful at the same time, but this is important if you want to avoid many headaches down the line. You should spend like 1 hour researching cottage food laws in your area. Figure out what you can actually sell and what's off limits. Then practice that pricing formula on 3 different types of cakes you want to offer. And here's the key, write it down. Don't just think about it in your head. Actually write the numbers and the facts down on paper. In week 2, your goal is to make your first real sale. 1 cake to someone who isn't related to you. Hit up those Facebook groups, ask friends if they know anyone with a celebration coming up, post on your social media, price it properly using your formula from week 1, and take that deposit. Don't forget about the deposit. On week 3, you will set up some simple systems that will save your sanity later. You can create a basic order form. You can literally just use Google Forms, nothing fancy or expensive. Write out your policies, deposit required, 48-hour notice for changes, pickup times, and everything in between. Doesn't have to be perfect, just clear enough that the customers know what to expect. You see? Week 4, get your first complete stranger customer. Join like 2 or 3 local Facebook groups and start being genuinely helpful in those party planning conversations. Share photos of your work when it makes sense. Not like spam, but when someone's actually asking for cake recommendations. The goal here is to book 1 order from someone you've literally never met before. And that's your recipe. 4 weeks, 4 totally doable goals. Don't try to do everything at once. Don't build a fancy website, design some perfect logo, order business cards, and launch an Instagram empire all in week 1. You'll overwhelm yourself and end up stress eating all the cake batter instead of selling cakes. Just focus on proving to yourself that real people will actually pay real money for your cakes. Everything else, the business matters, it can come later. Right now, you just need to whisk up the confidence that this thing can actually work. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this whole thing is easy because it's not. There are still days when I'm like, am I charging too much for this? Or I'm stressed about some complicated order, or I catch myself thinking, do I actually know what I'm doing? But here's what I can tell you. 1 year after I made that first terrifying $45 cake from my neighbor, I had regular customers who were booking me months out. I wasn't making bank or anything, but I was making real, consistent cake money doing something I genuinely love. 2 years in, I got brave enough to raise my prices again and started booking actual weddings. 3 years in, I made more from my little kitchen than I used to at my part-time office job. Could I have gotten here faster if I'd been braver about my pricing from day one? Probably. Could I have avoided some of those facepalm mistakes if I'd been more organized? Definitely. But I got here by starting small, learning as I went, and not throwing in the towel because things got messy. Because they will get messy sometimes. If you're watching this and there's a little voice saying, maybe I could actually do this, that voice you can probably listen to. Start with one cake. See how it feels to charge what you're worth. Give yourself permission to figure out the recipe as you go. And honestly, if you do decide to take the leap, I'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment and tell me about your first real order or what's making your mixer want to stop. I read every single comment and I'll do my best to help if you get stuck on something. Here's the thing. The worst thing that can happen if you try, you learn something valuable. The worst thing that happens if you don't, you're always going to wonder, what if I had just tried? Your cakes are already good enough, Cakepreneur. You just need to start treating them and yourself like they're actually worth paying for, because they are, and so are you. Subscribe if you enjoyed spending time with me today, and if you want to know more about how to start and run your very own cake business the right way, you can go ahead and watch the next video appearing on your screen right now. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.